let's just take a look at crude and see what's going on. You had this consolidation, possible reaccumulation. Then you had this breakout right here. You see that bar with a BO? Basically just broke out, rallied, had a nice little pullback. And then over here, it had some struggle because this is where the sellers made a stand. And they're not letting the market rally. So what did the market do? Obviously, we can't go higher, it's going to go lower. It went lower, and this may be a potential spring. So I know that folks are looking at this and they're like, oh, okay, they took out 1, 2, 3 lows and immediate reversal. 2 days and then reversal on third day. What does that mean? Is it a spring? Is it not a spring? The way I see it, you just had like something here. I mean, this is a base, maybe reaccumulation, breakout, and test. Again, testing that same area. Will it take out this high? Nobody knows that. So that's the point. Because there's a lot of conflicting information. This could be reaccumulation, fine, but what about the selling that came before it? That's not trivial. That is not trivial. And then on the right hand side, you see a breakout and a rally and a pullback to test. And then this is the conflicting information again. When it's trying to make highs, it can barely hold the high. Here you had an upthrust and led to selling. So from the bearish perspective, what you see that there's heavy selling and a move to take price up to the initial area of distribution. From a bullish perspective, after the crack, it was reaccumulated, broke out, rallied, pulled back, and it couldn't go higher, so it went lower, and there's a spring and a potential rally with a high and close. This is the issue. When you have both perspectives like this, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to trade, especially when you have overhead resistance here, but you have support there and all that. Now, if I show you this market over here, this is much easier to detect. So, okay, yeah, it's uptrend, blah, 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 higher lows, higher highs above the average. Look at the pullbacks, look for the pullbacks. But here, you have overhead selling over here, some reaccumulation over here, and some struggling over here. So, this is very, very difficult. Going to the Renko chart, what you see a distribution block, and as I explained over here, you have an accumulation block. So you have distribution over here, you have reaccumulation here. How do I know? 26, that's the biggest, it's all the way back here, which was 43. And then it rallied. So what am I looking at? I'm looking for a pullback right into this area where it says 150. That would be approximately halfway back, and there's a lot of good volume there. So, because that's where the market broke out. So on this Renko, you see the test over there, test of that breakout, where it says 150, and see how the market behaves. I think it's going to turn and go down to test that area. Why? We're at a resistance area, and now we're going to take a look at the 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart, what do you see here? Biggest wave, biggest volume, 48 waves, obviously is a climax. From that climax, climax doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the move. It could also be that it's approaching the end of the move. And here, it's telling you that the end of the move is being approached. It just took a little bit of an upthrust. Right? So this is a climax, and then you had a pullback here. And finally, you had an upthrust, and this is a finally over here. This is a selling. This is a selling. So it's easier, obviously, if you have a climax and immediate selling afterwards. But sometimes when you have longer distributions, then you go through that, that schematic with phase A, phase B, phase C, with a spring or an upthrust, etc., etc. Sign of weakness, more important sign of weakness, blah blah blah. So over here, basically, you have a climax that's telling you the move about to terminate. You had an upthrust, immediately selling, followed by selling. Then you had to move 1, 2, 3, 3 attempts. 1, 2, 3. Could not break out. Third attempt. You see one from 29 to 21 to 10. And here's that supply that comes in after 1, 2, 3. and it takes out 1, 2, and I think about 2 waves, right? So this is very, and look at the volume here. It's not trivial. What can you see? You see from the volume, the buying volume is going to shit. Look at this, 29, it's nothing. But now look at the selling volume. It's increasing. So here you had a nice shortening of the thrust against these two highs, followed by what? Selling. So you had your SOT shortening the thrust. There's obviously climax in the background, and now this heavy selling. You know how big this volume is? Just 38. It's the biggest volume since all the way back there. So this definitely selling. What I don't like about it is that it's a little bit dull. I like strong bars. You got some of them here. See this? Look at the speed of these bars. They sold the high with, with a lot of selling pressure. And then when it tested it, more selling came in, but in a more not with that same speed. Okay, you had some bars, but not with that same speed that you have over here. Still, look at the supply. Supply is very significant here. And look at the pullback. So far, it's only 3. Look at the pullback before it. I mean, the wave before it. You have 10, 38, pullback on 3. This market is in trouble. The only thing that would save this market now is if it attempts to break, and it can't because it's low volume or it just doesn't want to go. So if there's cause, meaning it pulls back and it rejects, pulls back and rejects, then you have a similar situation, like on the other chart, where it's attempting to go down, 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 and if it can't, that's because there are buyers there and they'll push it back up. But right now, what you see is not a lot of buyers, selling pressure coming in, selling pressure in the background. Pullback, not a good pullback on high volume. It's actually a very low volume. So far, it's very low. And that sets up the move down. So that's what I'm looking for. Unless more volume comes in and either goes straight high or it starts pulling back and you can't find the supply to take it lower. In that case, it can reverse back up. These are the two things. And the block that I'm looking at, like right now, it's right here. I believe this to be the sign of weakness. And ding, 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 and now it's selling and probably last point of supply or feather's weight or lack of demand. I don't really care. Whatever it is, it's not a lot of demand so far. Alright, thank you.